everyone. We'll be continuing about the prepaid e-payment systems. So we have talked about the credit cards, debit cards and smart cards. Now we'll be talking about the electronic fund transfers. So electronic fund transfer, it is one of the most effective methods to transfer funds from one bank account to another by using electronic fund transfer. And the various methods of electronic fund transfer are NEFT, RTGS and IMPS. So you number of times have used the net banking mechanism wherein you do what is you simply do a NEFT transaction. You go for RTGS when the amount is above 2 lakh rupees and IMPS when you have to go for an instant payment system, because NEFT comparatively takes a very a little longer time as compared to your IMPS, and then NEFT has again its own working hours. So IMPS is very instant, and if it is under a particular threshold, the payment that is to be settled, people generally use the IMPS, right? So customers have this benefit of availing these services by registering themselves onto a bank website for net banking services and then logging to their own account using transfer services, wherein they can enter the amount and they want to transfer the details by furnishing, let's suppose, the beneficiary's bank account, wherein they can further process the transaction easily. And onto the acknowledgement of the same, the amount, it gets debited from their account and gets credited to the other party's account. Now, when we are saying about this entire process that we use a NEFT, we use a RTGS or IMPS. So many of you must have used it a number of times. You see it is very easy, and nowadays with the robust initiatives by the government, it has made very easier, super easy to do the same. You simply need to do what is, when you have to do an NEFT transaction, you have to add a person as a beneficiary. Beneficiary means now that this person will be getting the payment. So in order to make the payment to that particular person, you have to make them as a beneficiary into your account, because he is a beneficiary of the payment, right? And when you will be adding that person as a beneficiary, you need what is? You need their name, you need their account number, you need their IFSC code, and you need to set out that this is the maximum amount which I need to put as a threshold to transfer from my bank account to this person's bank account. And it will take up to 4 hours to validate the same, because the bank will first verify the same, that okay, this customer is a bona fide customer, the account that is being added is the bona fide account, that means a beneficiary's account, the account number is correct, right? And after that processing, that verification is being done. So nowadays, as I mentioned, that it is just 4 hours. Earlier it used to be a very long period, right? So nowadays it's only 4 hours that one needs to wait for to get a beneficiary getting it active, right? And then you can transfer the amount immediately. Another mechanism is where you need to transfer a heavy amount to someone. So then people use RTGS, because it is a real-time gross settlement mechanism, right? Wherein all your transactions are whatever of heavy amounts you need to pay someone for, let's suppose, buying a property, for buying some assets, right? So people then use this RTGS as a payment mechanism, because it is very fast, right? And you simply need to go to visit to a bank if you want to, or you can again similarly, since you added the beneficiary, instead of NEFT you do what is, you will select RTGS, and simply within just 4-5 minutes, you will be completing your transaction. Another way is that if you don't want to wait for 4 hours even to, let's suppose, to get your beneficiary being active or validated for the same, you have another mechanism wherein if there is a very small amount that is to be transferred, let's suppose up to 20,000, in certain cases certain banks allow for 40,000, 50,000, so you can simply go for IMPS, wherein you need to just punch in the beneficiary's bank account number, IFSC code, the name, right? And after validating the same, the amount will be transferred immediately, right? So that ways it has made a lot of initiatives, a number of regulations and rules with respect to this payment mechanism, it has made it super easy for both the customers and the person onto the other end to receive the payments. That ways, you can see upon that this entire payment system has revolutionized over the time period, right? Now, this account, whenever it's a debit being made from your account, you will be intimidated about the same. You will be informed about the same, that yes, this much amount has been debited from your account, and similarly an acknowledgement receipt will be issued to the seller that yes, this much amount has been credited to your account by so and so person, and similarly our transaction reference number, the time and the date will be sent along with. So these electronic fund transfers, they are very, very secure, and with reduce administrative costs, because nowadays the administrative cost to process the transactions through NEFT, RTGS or IMPS, it is comparatively much lesser, right? And it is again a very efficient and a quick manner to disburse the funds. So you sitting at any point of any point of corner, and you can simply make the payment within few seconds, within few minutes. That much super smooth, super easy these electronic fund transfers are. All you need is a net banking, right? Where there are various other prepaid instruments also, and these prepaid instruments are your online wallets. They are also known as your e-wallets, and with the help of which various customers can purchase goods and these services online against the amount stored in the e-wallet. Now, when we say against the amount stored in the e-wallet, means these e-wallets are loaded similarly to your recharge that you do for your cell phones. You do what is, you recharge your cell phones. It has a particular time validity, right, or a call validity or a data validity. Once that validity expires, right, you again top up it or you recharge the same. Similarly with these e-wallets, there are number of e-wallets into the market, and onto various you could say aggregators channels, you would see that they have their own wallets, right? Inbuilt e-wallets. So a brand is having its own e-wallet. You need to simply do what is, you have to load their wallets, right? How would you load them? Similar to a Metro card, as you load them, you can load them using a UPI, you can load them using cash, anything. So load them means recharging them, and that amount is then what? It is added by the customer into his or her e-wallet by using a credit card, a debit card, net banking, right, or even a UPI, right? So this is how these e-wallets are being loaded, they are being charged, and these can be used by the customers to make various transactions, right? So when we are talking about these prepaid instruments, they come into two major categories. As we talk, they are either closed instruments or they are semi-closed instruments. So when we say closed instruments, these are those in which the seller and the issuer bank are the same. That means bank itself is having its own payment gateway. Bank is not routing through the third party application, उसका खुद का एक payment gateway है, right? If we talk about any bank, any ABC Limited, right? They have their own payment gateway by ABC Limited. So that is a closed instrument wherein the seller and the issuer bank, they are the same, right? So that's a sort of your closed instruments. But when we talk about semi-closed instruments, they are those wherein we are sort of indulging the third party applications. We are taking the money, right? The issuing company will take the money from the customer, and then the money is used to pay the e-retailers. So there are a number of semi-closed instruments into the market. We see a lot of instruments into the market coming up with, every time, obviously they need to go through those licensing process, then only they can be allowed as a payment bank. And nowadays you would see a lot of payment banks are there into the market who are easily, doing good and wonder into this payment mechanism. Next, Apart from these prepaid e-payment systems, we have various postpaid e-payment systems which are still functional, which are still preferable by the consumers. So if a consumer feel like that he doesn't want to go for the e-payment, he can simply do what is, he can go for the EMIs. You have observed a number of times that these many aggregators or the retailers, they do what is, they give you this option. You want to go for the EMIs, so this is a 3-month easy EMI option you can go for. And if the customer feels like, okay, I don't want to pay the full amount right now, I can do what is, I can just pay a little amount now, and or let's say, let me just divide the amount into 3 or 6 installments or 4 installments maybe, and accordingly I'll be making a very small contribution of the payment every month. Right, so that is the installment system, easy monthly installments. And the customer, they can choose to pay later the amount and to the bank in the form of monthly installments, and the bank will charge the interest onto the same depending how many installments are there. Right, so there are number of times you see that there are no cost EMI options which is available with the banks, wherein the customer is not supposed to pay any interest. Rather, upfront discounts are being offered by the seller, that you use our credit cards or you use our these very payment cards, so these many points will be added, your credit score will be improvised. So herein the seller bears the interest, thus providing an effective way of solution to the customers. Another postpaid e-payment system is your cash and delivery, which is very popular. Many customers still, they use this method of your cash and delivery, wherein this provides an opportunity to all the buyers, that all those who are not having a bank account, or let's suppose who are too cautious to use the debit cards or credit cards. Now, when I say who don't have bank accounts, but luckily India is, as I say, upscaling. It lot of maturity, major chunk of our populace, they are under the ambit of financial inclusion, with the wide number of initiatives that have been taken by the government. They are under the bracket of financial inclusion. So that means on every individual, is mostly every individual is nowadays is having a bank account. And but the second thing that we say is, maybe they could be cautious about using the debit card or online payment mechanism. Then they do have a choice that they can make the payment to the customer whenever the delivery personnel will bring the stuff. So they'll do what is, once the goods are received by them, they at the time of delivery they will make the payment in cash. So once the goods are received by them at the time of delivery at their address which have been mentioned by him or her, so during that time of purchase they will make the payment in cash. Right, another thing is which is a postpaid sort of your payment system is your e-checks. Right, now number of this being you could say an outcome wherein a lot of our entities, they get involved into the same, be it your banks, be it your e-commerce firms. So e-check is basically similar to your traditional paper checks as they used to be. You do what is, you sign the instrument, you put in the name of the person, you put in the amount also, and at times you do what obviously you put the date, and you at times you do what is, you make it account pay. Right, at times almost all the time, until unless it is a self and another scenario. So you do what is, account pay it, sign it, and you simply give it to the person to whom the payment is to be made. Right, similar to the same is the e-checks, which is very common. And here in case of the e-checks, what happens, though it is not that much prevalent into South Asia, specifically into India, but otherwise globally people use this e-checks. You can just simply see it onto a little snippet of the same onto your screens, that this is how a e-check looks like. You do what is, you simply tell the name and your account number, name of the bank, the type of the account, the amount, the check number, the MICA code, right, onto the same, and digitally upload the photograph of the same. And instead of paying the check into a physical form, the check is delivered digitally. So when we say it now, that the customer, they send the signed e-check to the vendor. They do what is, they sign the check, and it is digitally being transferred to the customer through the web. So that makes it a e-check. So this is how e-check looks like. And the customer will put in the details. It will confirm the name and the address, and choose the shipping mechanism, and digitally upload the photograph of the same and submit it for the payment, right? So these are e-checks which are still being very prominent at various places. So that is a clear distinction between various prepaid and your postpaid methods of your payment. Now, when we talk about the mode of your e-payment system, we have basically categorized them into three major things. That either it is a one-time buyer to seller payment, right? One-time buyer to seller payment means what? That it is one of those methods whenever that a customer, he shops a product online from the e-retailers, they will do what is, they will add the product to the shopping cart, and then they will proceed further to check out, and then they will select that either they have a credit card, debit card, or cash on delivery, as I said, or whatever other methods they want to go for. But this is a one-time buyer to seller payment. This you have not made a auto mandate, right? You are not telling the application that this much amount is to be debited every month to the seller. No, you are not doing that. You are saying this being a one-time purchase. So that is the first mode of e-payment system. You have witnessed it into real time. You see that number of times when you make a purchase through various aggregators, right? You do what is, you do get that option, that subscription, so you get additional discount of 5% or one-time purchase, right? So you click on to one-time purchase, that okay, I don't want to subscribe, I don't want the same thing in the same quantum to be bought every month. So you go for one-time purchase. That one-time purchase is what? This is your one-time buyer to seller payment mechanism. That for this very transaction, this is going to be my payment method, right? And then when you make the payment, the confirmation will be sent to the customer that yes, the payment is being received by the seller and the product will be delivered in a few days, right? Second mode of payment will be your periodic payment from the buyer to seller. As I was saying, that you have two options that you get. Either you get one-time purchase or you get a periodic payment. That means you are saying that yes, okay, this amount every month is to be paid to the seller, right? So this usually happens when the customer is having a long-term plan, right, which involves a lump sum fund that is to be paid regularly, or wherein the customer pays the bill through regular and scheduled debits from the bank account. You know that these bills are to be paid of this much amount every month. So that's a periodic payment. Or let's suppose you know that every month, let's suppose you require 5 packets of biscuit. So that will be a periodic payment from the buyer to the seller, that okay, I'm going for the subscription of the product, right? As you go for various OTT platforms, right? It is subscribed. So automatically a debit is being paid from your account, right? So sort of your periodic payments. Now, automatic bank to e-retailer payment method. This is the third method, right? Again, nowadays it is very common. You do what is, you send this mandate to the bank itself, that the bank will pay directly to the e-retailer, right? So you do what is, you using your net banking, you log into your account, you go into that wherein you have those request options and you talk about those things, that automatic bill payment. You have those payment options. And auto payment bill payment means that This is a particular service for which the bank is instructed that the bank is supposed to make the payment on every 10th of the month, right? And you give a mandate for the same, a standing instruction for the same. So that is what? That is the automatic bank to e-retailer payment method, right? Whereas subscription was what? Subscription mein what happens? You log into various OTT accounts, right? And certain OTT platforms are like that. They will ask for a periodic payment that every month on to 10th, exactly on 10th, let's suppose this much amount will be debited. Right. For example, the first very time you subscribe for an OTT platform was, let's suppose, 5th of January. Right. So that OTT platform is recharged for 1 month, right, with whatever the amount that you pay. Now you give a periodic payment instruction. Instruction in a sense is that bank account, not the bank account, let's suppose that UPI that you linked along with, or the payment instruction method that you choose, which is basically either the UPI or you send a mandate to the bank, right? So every month onto the 5th, your account will be debited, right? That's a periodic payment. Now automatic bank to is that bank itself is, you have directly given the instruction to the bank instead of giving it to the third party application. Now the bank under this method offers a service to the customer which is known as bill pay. And in order to use this method, customer need to log in into the net banking account, as I say, and then activate this bill pay service, furnish the detail about the seller's account, that this is the seller account, it is his account number, IFC code, and let's suppose in this case the IFC code will not be there, the bank account number, and these many, this amount is to be paid every month. So that's a sort of your standing instruction. And by activating the bill pay service, the customer, it authorizes the bank that yes, the bank can transfer the funds electronically to the seller's account to pay the bill of the customer each month, right? And furthermore, the customer need to mention into that standing instruction that okay, this is the bill, that this is whatever the bill comes onto my given unique ID number, but this is the date on to which the monthly payment will be made. Let's suppose we talk about the electricity bills or the water bills, right? So I give a standing instruction to the banks that this is the date, whatever bill comes, because this is my, let's suppose, CA number, this is my KNO number, this is my unique ID number. You use the same, retrieve the details and pay the amount on every 7th of the month, right? So this is how bill pay services moves like, right? So there have been various you could say payment mechanisms, right? So postpaid, prepaid, and then when we talked about the modes, it can be a one-time method, it can be a periodic payment system, right? Or which we call a subscription, or it can be an automatic mandate that you have given to the bank that this automatic payment is to be paid, which is using a bill pay service mechanism, right? So when we talk about this digital payments, as I say, digital payments have evolved over the time and it is still evolving, right? And there are a number of payment options that has been being added to those layers, right? And it is refining it, making it more stronger, and making it such a structure which creates an entire ecosystem for the market, wherein it becomes very, very super smooth for the customers and the buyers, that they can settle the transactions in real time without there being any fuss of payment settlements. So that ways these digital payments makes it very easy, right? Makes it very convenient for every person, either by using those UPI wallets, or either by using those net banking, debit cards, smart cards, anything. But you can see that yes, now we have a lot of options to offer in the market. People from different parts of the world, they get amazed when they look into that how India has evolved in terms of the digital payments, and it is still surging, it is upsurging, and maybe a lot of more options are going to soon floated by the government into the same segment. So that's it for the digital payment segment, and we'll be continuing on to this major topic of your digital marketing with a lot of more topics in the coming sessions. Thank you.